It'll be just as much as cable in the end. So let's go ahead and get started with the episode here. I am feeling better, so I'm happy about that. So I have two topics from the conspiracy iceberg today. And like I said in the intro, one is wonderful. One is a wonderful conspiracy theory. It's one of the ones that I like because it's very happy and enlightening to who we are as a species. Now, on the conspiracy iceberg, there is the phrase, the Amazon forest is man-made. And I was like, ugh, is this going to be like mountains are trees? Like, are they going to say that the trees are holograms or they're all metal and whatever? But I was like, it's an evocative phrase. So I typed it into Google and page after page after page pulled up showing from scientists that the Amazon rainforest is indeed man-made. Let's travel back in time. Let's go. We're not going to get in the Carpenter copter because I'm still a little nauseous. I don't think I can take the flight. You know what? We're going to the Amazon rainforest, so it's been gone through some rough stuff. Let's go I can't even say that word with a straight face. Let's go carbon neutral with the Hoppity hang glider. We each have our own, so it's not we're all not hugging on each other as we're flying over. It's basically a hang glider in the shape of a rabbit, and somehow it still stays afloat. It doesn't just have a picture of a rabbit on it, it's actually the shape of a rabbit. Oh, I wanted to say this too. I got some fan art from Gray of PTA on YouTube. He sent me a picture, I'll put it in the show notes. He sent me a drawing of PINKO, the Tulpa / communist infiltrator. It's amazing. Thank you. I'll put that in the show notes. But anyways, so we're in the Hoppity hang gliders. We each got our own. I played a lot of Pilot Wings back in the day, so I know how to use these things. And we're going to fly not only to the Amazon rainforest, which is in South America, if you didn't know, but the gentle breeze is going to take us back in time. Bing. We're going back hundreds of years. We're going back to basically prehistory. Well, I guess not prehistory, because they were writing stuff down, but we don't know the history. As modern day doesn't know the history. We're in South America. We're flying over the rainforest. And what's interesting is we look down. First, we think there's some sort of Mandela effect going on. There's not a rainforest here. It's just a bunch of bamboo. This isn't what we expected. We expected lush green jungles and jaguars and Anaconda 2, Search for the Blood Orchid. But none of that stuff is down here. We just see bamboo. And this is what's interesting. This is 100%, it's a theory. It's a theory, but scientists believe that this is true. The Amazon rainforest, that landscape, used to have a ton of bamboo, which does grow naturally in South America. And at some point, a leader or a group of leaders in that area, they had their tribes, said, you know what? Let's build a supermarket here. Let's cut down all this bamboo. Let's burn it. Let's burn it all. And we are going to reshape the landscape and plant trees that we use. We don't use all this bamboo. So they burned it all down. And the smoke's all coughing us as we're flying in our hang gliders. I lose a couple of you. Sorry, no. I need all the listeners I can get as you disappear into the dark smoke below. But anyways, you eventually do catch an updraft and get back up to us. So they burn down the bamboo and they begin planting trees like palm trees and trees that provided nuts, trees that they could use for food and a shelter, like they would have the right bark for them. Trees that were actually useful to the indigenous people. And because now they no longer had to travel out to find these supplies, the population in and around the Amazon rainforest boomed. It was massive. And I'll get to the proof behind this real quick, but because you're like, Jason, just making this stuff up. But no. So now they had all their resources in one single area. So people started coming to the area. They had tons of food. They had tons of material. They could start trading it to other groups. What's interesting is that when the conquistadors came to South America, and the early reports of the conquistadors, they said, dude, there's like these massive amounts of people here in the Amazon area. Huge cities full of people. And as more and more conquistadors showed up, they're like, no, there's not that many people here anymore. And so when modern researchers were looking back, when they were looking at the first instances of people, like of conquistadors of the West coming to South America, they're like, we think they exaggerated. We really don't think they came across a tribe of 10,000 people. We think there was probably 1,000 people. Historical records are usually exaggerated, right? But now what they think happened was they basically, when the conquistadors came, the natives left that area. Either they were killed off, the disease got them, or they just left because they knew bad stuff was coming down the pipe. And once they stopped cultivating that land, stopped working in that supermarket, nature took back over and the rainforest exploded with all sorts of trees, all sorts of plants and vegetables and fruits. Do they have fruits down there? Isn't a mango a fruit? Are mangoes from South America? Anyways, so... and that created the Amazon rainforest we see today, where it's just a bunch of foliage and it's not necessarily completely useful. So this is the proof behind that. And tons of resources on this. One, when they started burning down the forest recently, the Amazon rainforest recently, to make room for cattle grazing, they started to notice these huge geoglyphs in the ground, which are basically giant shapes, either mounds or trenches, and they're absolutely massive. It's not like just someone drew made a trench in the ground and rolled around in the dirt. Like, these are geometric designs and stuff like that. And they go, oh, there must have been like a city center here, or this was a religious site that got swallowed up by the jungle. Researchers started to notice there was a lot of charcoal in the soil. And they go, it looks like there were a lot of burns in this area in the past. Like, not just like lightning strike burns. It looks like somebody was burning the forest to make room for something else. But the kicker is this. When they look at the Amazon rainforest, which now is completely wild and untamed, and I'm going to do a follow-up episode on this, but there's a ton of cryptid sightings there and like lost cities and things like that. But when they look at the Amazon rainforest now, it's just jungle. But along the Amazon River basin, there are 85 different tree species that the natives absolutely used and needed to prosper. And they're like, this isn't by chance. If we look along the basin here in the Amazon rainforest, we will see stretches, basically a supermarket aisle of trees that would be useful to the indigenous people. So the theory is this, that yes, there were massive populations in the Amazon, up to 8 million people, who lived, they basically clear-cut all the bamboo, planted the trees that they needed, and basically would say, you know what I really need? I need a couple papayas. And people are like, I don't think those grow in South America. Well, I'm going to go down to the old Amazon and check it out. They go down there, they pick them, strip off some bark, grab some coffee beans, whatever. And then you go to your tribe. They did to the Amazon rainforest what we're trying to do now. When they're doing the clear cutting and using it to produce food for other people, they did that already. It's and I'm not saying that, we should clear cut the Amazon so McDonald's can sell cheap beef, but I'm saying it's the same idea. And I always think it's fascinating when we can look back in history and see people come up with these plans. And it makes you think, what other natural phenomenon do we see? And we always thought that the Amazon was this pristine virgin jungle, when in fact it was basically Rayleigh's or Bel Air or Safeway or any other grocery store to them. But once they stopped cultivating it, it overgrew back into the jungle. And I want to end on this note too. It's so funny. I heard a conspiracy theory a long time ago that in Vietnam, this is a good segue because we're going to get dark with the next topic. But I heard this conspiracy theory that in Vietnam, the Viet Cong used to grab US GIs, they would dig a hole, and they would put sharpened bamboo shafts at the bottom of the hole, like they could grow. They were like, I don't know, had a bulb on the bottom of them. I don't know how bamboo grows, but anyways. And that's why conspiracy works on people like me, because I don't have all the facts, but they dug a hole and they put the sharpened bamboo shafts in there, and they put the GI and they buried him up to his neck, and then the bamboo would grow through him, because bamboo grows incredibly quickly. It can grow like a foot every couple hours. So the idea was that you would basically be sitting there and the bamboo would grow through you and it would be super painful and you would die. And other GIs would find a soldier buried up to his neck and a bunch of bamboo coming out of his brain. Now, what's funny is it's when you get older, you meet all sorts of interesting people. I met a bamboo expert on my vacation. I met a girl who specializes in all sorts of stuff, but one of the things that she was an expert on was bamboo. And of course, we're at the practice dinner for my brother's wedding, and I go, she tells me, we're talking about, what do you do? And she goes, oh, da-da-da-da. She starts talking about ecological stuff, and I don't remember all of it. I just remember her saying the word bamboo, and I was like, oh, have you ever heard the conspiracy theory about, and I told her the story I just told you. And she said, it's funny because I never heard that before, but no, that's not how it would work. She goes, plants take the path of least resistance. So even if you sharpened the bamboo, once it started to hit flesh, it would start to move out of the way. The bamboo's actually not going to pierce through flesh. It's actually, if it wants to grow, it will move, it'll start to curve past his leg and then just go straight up. So you may have found a guy surrounded in bamboo buried up to his neck, but it wouldn't have killed him. Bamboo does grow quickly, but it would just touch him and then it would grow the path of least resistance. So first off, I went home and freed all my prisoners in the bamboo traps I made for them. And secondly, that's the thing, again, coming back around to the Amazon rainforest, it's the path of least resistance as far as just the vegetation grows. These people had totally cultivated the soil for these tropical trees. It used to be bamboo. They totally cultivated the soil and tilled it and made it great for the trees they needed. But once they left, that fertile soil was overtaken by any plant that came by that could survive in there. So who knows what other mysteries are in there? We'll be covering the Amazon rainforest in a future episode, but again, I just think it's fascinating when we can look at human ingenuity like that and go, they were far smarter than we thought they were. That was a clip from our daily podcast, Dead Rabbit Radio. Dead Rabbit Radio is available anywhere that you listen to podcasts. It's daily paranormal, conspiracy, and true crime news. If you want to hear the full episode that this clip came from, check the link below. Please like and subscribe. And hit that little bell, too. That does some magical stuff. Thanks, guys.